The aliens. My first recall of an encounter with the Greys was on a nice sunny day when my sister Judy was still an infant in my mother's arms. My parents decided to drive out to Humble, Texas to visit relatives. Roy and I were in the back, and he happily hung over the front, admiring the new baby in my mother's arms. Once we arrived, our cousins excitedly ran to greet us. They were all boys and slightly older. One wanted to show off a big hole in their backyard. They were digging a storm shelter of about 12 feet deep. A small bicycle and other toys had met their fate at the muddy bottom. My older and wiser cousin told me that the hole would be filled with concrete walls and asked if I knew what concrete was. He explained that concrete was what they made roads with, and it was very hard. I stood in awe as he explained how, when the big storm came, his family would get into the shelter. There, they would be safe. Frightened, I looked up to search for this approaching and deadly storm. Harmless white clouds drifted in a pale blue sky. Suddenly, I was falling, and just as instantly, my small body was pressed against the dirt wall. I could physically feel the pressure as it held me there. My panic-stricken cousin ran yelling that I had fallen in. Next, I am standing above the ground and away from the hole. A concerned and parental being stands over me doing a quick assessment. He is gray and smooth and gentle. He lifts my arms and scans me for injury and broken bones with his magical eyes. He then instructs me to stay put and not move from that spot as he disappears. As I dust the dirt from my dress, I sense they are above watching, and I knew this was where he had come from. Oddly enough, his appearance did not strike me as unusual at all. Was it just because I was too young to know any better? Suddenly, I hear my uncle, who was annoyed, say, "How many times have I told you kids to stay away from there?" Everyone clamored out the patio door to see me standing in my appointed spot. My incredulous cousin stammered, But, I thought you fell in. I thought I saw you fall in." The adults didn't even question this, and we filed back into the house. While Mother was still pregnant with Troy, she would line us children up on the couch from the youngest to the oldest, and would rock each to sleep. Lovingly, one by one, she would carry her sleeping child to their bed. On one particular night, she had put us 3 down. The double-wide windows, bare of curtains, invited in the light of the moon. My little sister and I shared opposite ends of one twin bed against an adjoining wall of our parents' room. Roy slept in a twin bed by the window. I was feeling warm and snug when Judy sat up, letting cold air in on my feet. When I asked her to lie down, sounding very perplexed, she said, "No, I'm looking at something." When I too looked, I saw a gray being standing near her end of the bed, looking straight down at her. There was another gray being standing over by the closet, and I could make out a very skinny man with a big smooth head atop a thin neck. I thought to myself, he must be mine. This meaning that the one near my sister must be hers. Having learned from my little sister's experience that sick people get skinny, I thought that if this figure was a man, then he must be sick. That's when I realized that he knew what I was thinking, and so I thought that I had better go to sleep before I got myself into trouble. Before falling asleep, I watched as the first being gently lifted my frail sister out of the bed. I could see her skinny legs dangling like a porcelain doll. He embraced her in his arms, and together they disappeared. I suddenly felt drawn into sleep. Next, I stirred as someone turns the covers off me. Sleepily, I grasp and pull them back. They slowly turn the covers off me again, and I whine in protest as I sleepily pull them back. I am asked, "Why?" And I say that I want to stay warm. I am assured that I will be kept warm, and the covers are once again turned off me. As I am lifted, I feel a comforting sense of warmth as the being cradles me in his arms. There is a fraction of a second where I am aware of movement upward as the being and I make our exit through the ceiling. Meanwhile, our parents were sound asleep in the next room, unaware that their children were being spirited away, one by one. I awaken on a table as a light shone down on me. My pajamas were off, and 2 gray beings stood off discussing something. I sat up, and on seeing me, they came over. One tells me that I need to help take care of my sister. The other strongly disagrees, pointing out that I am also small, so there would not be much that I could do, but the other defends his first assertion, saying that I could still lend my support. When I awakened back in bed, my little sister was already there. She was wide awake, and I could hear Roy in our parents' bedroom desperately telling my mother that I was missing. I heard her assure him that she had put me there and sleepily instructed him to go back to bed. When Roy entered the doorway, he stopped short and gasped. Suddenly, I hear him shout, "Ow! It shot me! It stings!" he cried as I watched him crumple to the floor in pain. Out of my field of vision, because I was facing the door, two silhouettes, a taller and a shorter one, were standing by the bare windows. When Roy returned, one shot a ray at him from what he would later describe as looking like a remote control. After Roy slumped to the floor, I suddenly saw the shorter being rush across the room and pick him up. He carried Roy and set him on the side of the bed and left. Roy immediately jumped down and began frantically searching our bed in the dimness. His hand finally touched me, and I could feel its warmth. Still in a panic, he said, "Where were you? I couldn't find you. You were gone," he cried. "No, I wasn't," I replied, but he insisted, "No, I was looking for you and you were gone." Feeling that I needed to calm him, I said, "Well, I am back now, so it's okay. Go back to sleep." Satisfied that I was there, he went back to his bed and we all went to sleep. The next day, nothing was said. Roy carried a scar on his abdomen for the rest of his life. As an adult, he showed it to our mother as he relayed his story about being shot by one of two silhouetted beings in the dark that night. Mother remembered him coming to her room, saying that Judy and I were missing. As an adult, Judy also recalled her own experience from that night. She awoke on a gurney with a light shining down onto her. This strange light seemed to flow onto the floor. There had been a flash, and now two gray aliens were looking intently at something on a screen upon the wall. They were deeply involved in a conversation that she could not hear. When they saw she was watching, they came over and just looked at her. The next thing she remembers is being back in bed and that I was now gone. She remembers hearing Roy trying to awaken our mother. Witnessing these strange creatures had their bizarre effects on each of us. Still a toddler, Roy was sitting quietly on the couch. Suddenly, to our grandmother's alarm, he jumped up and ran across the room as fast as his little legs could go, and he smacked straight into the wall. Of course, he got knocked brutally backward. When asked why he did it, he replied that he thought that if he went fast enough, he could pass through the wall. He said he had seen it done before, so he knew it could be done, but when asked where, he couldn't recall. The perplexed adults concluded that he must have seen it in a cartoon.